Hi, I'm David Partika, and I created CSS Burner as a rapid optimization tool for CSS. Now, one of the useful functions which I've added to the gamut of functionality on CSS Burner is the statistical analysis tool that we see here on the top nav menu. Now, I've already pasted a very large style sheet, which we can see is well over 750 kilobytes, and it's already in the text area here. So what I want to look at today is to show you how you can use to your advantage the property value pairs counter in the statistical analysis. So let's take number of occurrences and let's now analyze this. And this is going to take a couple of seconds. And when we're done, we see a distribution of 5 property value pairs which commonly appear in this style sheet. And just looking at the data, which we can get the number of occurrences by mousing over the bars of the bar graph, but just looking at the number of occurrences, we see that there's in each case hundreds of occurrences. And what I find useful is this, to me, gives me an indication that these rules, because they've been repeated so often, we see as many as 601 occurrences of position relative within declaration blocks. This tells me that there are possible opportunities for combining declaration blocks. I find that in particular, display none and display block, and we see display block, and to some extent with 100%, you tend, if any declaration blocks within a style sheet are going to be just one property value pair. So in other words, the entire declaration block is something like display none, preceded by a selector. So, div display none or div display block, etc. Those are most of the time the most easily combined declaration blocks within a style sheet, and you'll find that these can be combined now with other rules. So for example, with display block, most likely there's going to be multiple selectors within the style sheet that have only display block. For example, there might be some class or some ID selector that's just display block, and those can all be combined by simple comma separation. And to me, that's one of the failings of most of the minifiers that are out there. CSS Burner's minifier excluded from this, but most minifiers do not combine these repeat blocks that could just be merged through comma separation of the selectors. So this, to me, is the biggest advantage of this property value pair function. You can also get some other secondary indicators out of this. You can see that positioning is clearly important in this style sheet, so there's probably a lot of use of z-index, elements that need to be positioned at precise, offsets. And so here we see 587 occurrences of absolute and 601 of relative. So this, as always, gives the author in particular of the style sheet some insight into their style sheet, which only they know. And so you can draw some conclusions out of this. If you wrote this style sheet, it makes sense that you have 1,200 occurrences of position, absolute or relative. So these are some of the examples of how I find the property value counting useful, and I hope that it's something that you can use in your own style sheet analysis. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you have not subscribed to the Optimized CSS channel already, please do so, and I thank you for your time and attention.